Hello and welcome to a very dark and stormy Masai Mara, where we are sitting trying to decide whether or not we should drive any further in that direction. I think that's a no, Dave. My name is Jamie. This afternoon, Dave is on camera with me, and I would like to introduce a very special addition to our team. This is Pucker. And Pucker's name means cat. Now, Pucker at the moment is all wrapped up because, as I've just mentioned, the weather is a little bit foul this afternoon. Storms rolling in. Any rain is great because it means fantastic grasses for the wildebeest as they make their way in this direction. What it means for us is, well, that we have to have all the flaps down. Just when Dave got settled and outside of a vehicle, he's now trapped inside, basically a tent once again. So, Pucker, how are we feeling about this? Pucker arrived on a truck yesterday. So far, her key doesn't turn too well, and her clutch sticks, and I could never remember her name, so I kept calling her Pukey, so I think that's just my punishment for not being able to know exactly who she is. It means cat. Hopefully it brings us some cat luck. I'm still umming and ahhing about this weather. There's blue skies where you can't see them, which is off that way, and I think the storm's blowing away. I think we're going to be okay for this afternoon, but we're not going to go too far just in case. Right, the other wonderful thing, I don't know, should we try driving, Dave? Yeah. Should we try driving along? Don't forget to send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter. Oof. Not quite as quiet as Wendy or Rusty. There we go, look, got something to show you already. Some buffalo sheltering from the wind. Lucian, you say this, oh, we also don't have any brakes, which is good because it's muddy, so you know you shouldn't be using brakes anyway. There we go, Lucian, you say this place looks so huge. Absolutely, so do the buffalo. But the sense of space that you get out here is enormous. And for us now, we travel absolutely enormous distances at times, 200, 300 kilometers easily. It takes us about 3 hours to get to where the migration is at the moment, just to give you an idea of how different things are here. The buffalo, as I said, are also enormous. On average, about 200 kilograms heavier than the ones we get in the Sabi Sand. And we've got a collection of Duggar boys who very much lived up to their name. What does that sound? An elephant trumpeting, and it sort of echoed around the mountains. Now, Terry, you would like to know how much longer the rainy season is in the Mara. Apparently, these are actually relatively late rains, which is wonderful news for this particular part of Kenya, because it means that the animals have grazing. And of course, East Africa has been really struggling with rainfall. I know Tanzania's received very, very little rain. It's a very soggy buffalo. And a lot of northern Kenya as well is facing a really serious drought. This part of southern Kenya, though, has had some late rain, which is fantastic news. It usually, apparently, the rainy season at this time of year usually ends around May. So what are we? We're just in the beginning of June, so it's just a little bit late. The rains were a bit late on Djuma as well. Hello, buffalo. H. Macy, you would like to know what is my favorite part of the Mara so far. Sure. Let's talk about areas first. My favorite area so far, I think, has been around the Mara River, around the Talek River system, and around the Sand River. There's still strange sounds coming. Sorry, that's me making strange sounds to try and hear better. I think it might just be the wind howling, actually. It sounds like something's dying. I'm going to go and get a bit closer to where that noise is coming from, just to figure it out. Apparently, the weather is also tricky in Djuma, and the wind is howling. Oh, there we go. As we continue on in the Mara, our roof is back up again, or at least the flaps are back up again. Oh. Yes, I will move up for you. the safari vehicle. And the wonderful thing about the Mara is that when you want to spot something, you can at great distances. And there's a hippopotamus. And I've decided, I'm pretty sure that's what the noise was. I think there were two hippo having a bit of an argument. I didn't even realize as we were driving along to investigate the sound that I heard. There we go. There we go. We've got Ellie's and our hippopotamus on the right. Gives you a sense of perspective of the size of the two animals, because it's not often that we see them next to each other, is it? At least not when the hippo's out of the water. It's not unheard of for elephants to chase hippopotamus, but there's no reason at the moment. There's plenty of water around. I think that's the hippo that was having an argument with another one earlier. Two Goliaths in one frame. That's very, very cool. I can see the rest of the herd up ahead, so I'm actually going to go a bit closer so that we can catch up with them. You know what's nice, Dave? Is Pucker's key is now turning quite happily. That's very good. Maybe she just needed a few moments to collect herself. Oh, the only problem is the gears are not, they're loose. I don't quite know exactly what it is, but it's impossible to change gear without grinding it. Let's go catch up with these Ellies, and then maybe there'll be some hyena around the dead hippopotamus. And kestrel spots, yes indeed, hippo out at the daytime, or in the day. That's actually very, very common, particularly on a cool and cloudy day. We're going to see hippos walking around. Often when we've been on bushwalks in the Sabi sand, we mention on a cold day how we have to be extra careful, because especially in winter when it's cool and the hippopotamus are struggling to find grass to keep themselves properly fed, they spend quite a lot of time out of water. And the reason I think this hippo's out is partly because it's cool and cloudy and rainy, and also because it was having an argument with another hippopotamus a little bit off to what is that direction? I'm still trying to orientate myself, especially on a cloudy day. Yeah, west. Must be west. It's where the sun's going. Oh, have we got some coax up ahead? That might be new for some of you, a new animal. You can see some topi. Let's go and see if there's a coax hartebeest with them. There is too. Looks like a small, pale topi. Oh, look at that, Dave. Look, they're having a... I'm scared they're going to stop if I get closer, but the young ones over there were having a little bit of a... Oh, not quiet, are we, Pucker? Oh, there we go. Young ones playing. So there we go. We've got the topi with their dark legs, and then the coax hartebeest off to the right as well. Let's get closer since they've stopped fighting. They seem to be in high spirits. Topi are hilarious. They sleep during the day out in the open, and I think they just feel more comfortable, the animals here, about sleeping out in the open, because you see it more often. But they sleep with their noses on the ground. It looks so peculiar. I can't quite explain it. I'll have to show you at some point. Lucian, I have to tell you, yes. Wait, let's watch these antelope because they are playing at the moment, and then I'll tell you about the view from the top of the hills. Lucian is saying that the view, of course, every time I try and point out what they're doing, they stop it. Murphy's Law. Oh well, can talk about the view. The view is spectacular, absolutely spectacular. We live, or we are going to live, at the moment we're living at Ngama, but we live, there is final control. It will be painted at some point, so the white walls won't stick out too much. There you go. That's a final control. That big window, well, that big open space that will one day be a window in the not too distant future, that will be the studio, which will be the sort of the equivalent of the tent. in South Africa, and it's got the most spectacular view in the world. This view, of course, was what was seen out of Africa, the famous view across the open area. I'm going to make my way towards those elephants and then do a bit of a bumble around. While I do, let's go back across to Ali, who has plans to go to Chitwa. Seems as though we are live once again. I'm just warning Dave, who doesn't have any form of communication, and I'm busy communicating on Skype. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that, everyone. It seems as though Djuma disappeared. Both Ali and Taylor vanished off your screens. It seems to have been an attack of the gremlins. I'm just going to try and figure out a more user-friendly way of using this monitor. Dave, can I just unhook that? Is that possible? There we go. There we go. Brilliant. Now, we didn't have to drive anywhere to catch up with our elephants because they've come to us. And of course, being in the Mara means that we can sit with animals when they're much, much further away. I wonder. I still want to go in that direction, though, because I want to go and see whether there's any hyenas. Hello, little one. No sign of the baby elephant that we saw being born. But I have no doubt, he's so cute, I have no doubt we'll see it again in the not-too-distant future. In the meantime, we've got this little one to keep us entertained. Baby elephants often suck their trunks like little children suck their thumbs. It's a comfort thing. No, don't bite your trunk. Don't bite your trunk, you silly thing. What are you doing? Yes. Ooh, back to the safety of Mum. Oh, what's happening here? Getting bullied by the older calf. Stevie, you want to know if elephant ears are the most sensitive part of their body? I guess they probably are very sensitive because the skin is so thin, but I'm not sure that they have that many nerve receptors around the skin itself. I would say the most sensitive part of an elephant's body would probably be around the eye and around the mouth, and especially the tip of the trunk. Now, the tip of the trunk is, well, the whole elephant's body, actually, but the tip of the trunk in particular, oh, there's an olive baboon at the back. It has bristly long hairs that basically act like whiskers, and it helps the elephant to be sensitive enough to be able to pick up the tiniest branch or twig off the road, and yet at the same time the trunk is strong enough to yank down the massive branches that it might want to feed on. So I would say that the most sensitive part of an elephant is its trunk, would be my guess. I think that's where you're going to find the highest concentration of nerves, and around its face, its eyes, its mouth, those sorts of areas. And of course, an extension of that is the amazing thing that is a trunk. Well, you have to learn to use yours if you're a baby elephant. And that's one of our favorite things on these live safaris, and I think all of our regular viewers will agree, that watching a baby elephant learn to use its trunk, whether you're in Djuma or here in Kenya, is thoroughly entertaining. It's like a little, I don't know, I mean, it's just so much shorter as well than the adults. Oh, Megs, just to let you know, you are breaking up quite badly. Let me just see if it's maybe my phone. It did get a little bit wet earlier. Meggy Megs, can you hear me? Ah, there we go. Ashland, you want to know what their predators are. An elephant can be taken down by a lion. It is possible. Not one lion, obviously. It's only the fact that lions hunt as social creatures that they would be able to tackle something as large as an elephant. It's unusual. It apparently does happen here. There's certain prides in Botswana that have specialized in that sense. And they generally don't go for the young babies, although you might think that it would be the most obvious thing in the world to do. You go for something small and vulnerable. The whole herd is likely to come rushing out to protect a baby. And they generally tend to hunt the young males that are just on the outskirts of the herd, just at the point where they're about to leave. and the herd pays them less attention than they might the little ones. I also think it's possible that hyenas could hunt. I was thinking about hunt an elephant. I was thinking about it when our baby elephant was born, and I was actually a little bit concerned. I was imagining, because the whole herd left that female alone. And for our viewers that perhaps have missed that update, Brent, Dave, and myself actually watched a baby elephant take its first steps. We just missed its birth. But we were at the point where, when we first saw it, it was still covered a little bit in the amniotic sac. And I was worried. I was imagining hyenas, because a big clan of hyenas up here can reach over 100 animals. And it would just take a few of them to distract mum, and the rest of them to catch the baby. I don't know how often that's been recorded, but it would be interesting to know. I have wonderful news. It's an animal that I haven't seen yet in Kenya, but Ali has found one. Coming to us. Oh dear, it seems as though Ali has disappeared off, but what exciting news that she has found Hosanna. So in the past few days I've heard that Hosanna's doing well, Shungila's doing well. I'm very happy, because it was one thing I was very reluctant to leave Djuma for. Right, so we are here at the site of the dead hippopotamus, and I've stopped to see what bird life it has attracted. So far, just lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of white-backed vultures, the most common vulture species that we see here, just like in Djuma. Now, there's probably, dotted between the various trees, I would say there's probably about 30 or so in various places. There's some more off over there. That is a rupels. There we go. So there are different species of vulture here as well. Aren't they pretty? I mean, compared to the other vultures, with their mottled feathers and their yellowish tip to the beak, or at least yellowish edging to the bill. Just that little bit larger than the white-backed vultures, and therefore more dominant when it comes to feeding at kills. And all of them are looking very fat and very happy, with very full crops. So they've been gorging themselves on the hippopotamus. Brent told me that this morning the hyenas were around here, and that's obviously done a great job in terms of opening up the carcass once again. And if I reposition ever so quickly, which is such a pleasure to be able to do without, I mean, as much fun as it was jumping up and standing out of the gap in the roof of Chiku, it got a little bit tricky. It's alright. Puck and I are just learning each other's nuances. So not for the faint of heart, although this is not a bad view. You can't see anything too disgusting. There's the hippopotamus. The last time I had a look in this area, that hippo was impossible for the vultures to get to, and it was really very tricky for them to feed off any part of it. But now the hyenas have opened up the skin along the spine, that the vultures have been able to feed in a much more concentrated way. And there we go. That's pretty much all that remains of our hippopotamus. No longer looks as bloated as it did the last time I was here. I don't think we're going to linger too long at a hippopotamus carcass. Ooh, William, what a very good question. William is 7 years old and would like to know if it's harder to get closer to the animals here in the Mara than it is in Djuma. William, in certain situations, yes. We're not allowed to off-road everywhere in this particular area, so there's certain places we can go, certain places we can't go. There's certain things that will change as it goes along, but at the moment, if the animal is far away, that's just where it is, and we just can look at it from very far away, which means that we see more, but we don't always get as close as we might on Djuma. But the animals are just as relaxed here. Elephants, lions are perfectly relaxed around vehicles, and cheetah, of course, are actually famous for using the vehicles to hunt, and occasionally jump up on the bonnets of the cars. Not sure how I feel about that, but apparently that does happen. So the animals are just as relaxed. Sometimes you get skittish animals, particularly closer to Tanzania, They don't see as many cars. Right, well, our vultures have their crops full of dead hippopotamus, but Taylor's got a story, hopefully a happy story, of presumably a live one. Thinking. Look at what we've got here. That's what I was hoping for when we went across to our hippo carcass. But it's difficult to drive around here at the moment and not find one of these creatures, and almost invariably so muddy that it completely obscures their spots. And they almost look like brown hyenas. In fact, when I first saw it, I thought it was a warthog in the long grass. I just saw the back end of it. Oh, there it goes, vanishing off. We actually don't know much about this particular clan. We hear them every single night. They come to explore around the lodge just to see, oh, look how long that grass is. Oh, Dave, do you smell what that hyena just deposited? Oh. Okay, let's see if we can get you one more view. I think that's it, everybody. I think that hyena has pretty much vanished, but it sounds like Ali has got a view of Hosanna once again. What is that? We don't have to sing a song about finding hyenas, because everywhere we look, they just pop their heads up. I'm shouting over the sound of poor Paka, who now has to face her very first journey. Hello, Zebs. Hello, Impala. Can't stop. I don't have power. Oh, she's got to face her very first journey up the hill. Oh, we're not going to make it, Dave. Come on. Come on. Let's do it. We're going to have to low range it. This is the hill that we've got to climb over there. Sorry, Zebs. I can't stop. Can't lose the momentum. I just want to show you how steep it is. So there's the hill. Oh, goodness. Okay, so we know that Paka's not a supple car. All right, here we go. Oh, goodness. That's interesting. You shouldn't really be able to stall with the clutch in. And the hyenas are calling. The gate is closing. Ah! Dave, I don't know if we're going to get up this hill. No, Buffalo, don't look at me like that. This is not good, Dave. All right, we're going to battle our way up here. Let's go back to Djuma and Ali, who is looking or has lost Hosanna.